Disney is lying to us. And no, I'm not talking about the ways that they have hired and fired based solely on skin color.
We don't want a white person to play this role.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're very careful about, certainly there have been times where, there's no way we're hiring a white male.
Instead, I'm talking about the way that this streaming platform, Disney Plus, has been hiding the numbers and doing some really sketchy things behind the scenes. And if you didn't pay attention, you would miss this completely. It shouldn't be a surprise that a company like Disney only cares about its shareholders. But when we start looking deeper about what's going on at the company, especially when it pertains to Star Wars, we see that Disney is lying to us in many ways. What am I talking about? Well, recently you might have seen that it was announced that 700,000 subscribers have left the Disney Plus platform already in 2025. And we are not surprised when we don't get transparency about any of the viewership data regarding the shows on Disney Plus. We have to wait for third parties like Luminate to tell us what's going on. We have to wait for those numbers just to even see what the ratings are. And this isn't unique to Disney. All of the streaming platforms are doing this. But there is something that's been going around in regards to Disney Plus that is quite shocking.
When you say no ads, and then there's ads, I think somebody here is lying. I'm just saying, this is insane.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Jeremy, and this is The Force Fandom. This is a channel for regular fans who love Star Wars. Thanks for clicking on the video, and we're going to look at some really interesting numbers today in breaking down what's really going on behind the scenes and some of the ways that fans of Star Wars have been misled, or at the very least are not being shown the whole picture. Here's what I'm talking about. So Disney Plus has recently sent out information saying that their ad-free tier isn't really ad-free. Disney Plus Premium, the most expensive package they offer, is also ad-free. Or is it? See those asterisks? Well, that tells you that this isn't actually 100% ad-free. For certain viewing, you still get ads. Yet another L. You can see the asterisks here. What are they talking about? Well, recently a note went out to Disney Plus subscribers, which I'm no longer one of those. I was one of the ones that left. But here's what they say. We are clarifying that as we continue to increase the breadth and depth of content we make available to you, circumstances may require that certain titles and types of content include ads, even in our no ad or ad-free subscription tiers. That's absolutely insane. And I am so glad that I stopped my Disney Plus subscription, because I was one of those people who would pay the yearly price. I would pay for the year because it would save me money, and we were going to use it the whole year. My kids love things like Bluey, and many of the movies that we see are on Disney Plus, the movies we love to watch again. And we're going to watch things like Moana 2 when it came to Disney Plus. Things like that were what we loved as a family. And yes, I would love all the Star Wars content, but I'm so glad we didn't pay for this year, because there are people who paid for the yearly subscription of ad-free tiers who are going to be getting ads on certain content. I'm not quite sure what that means. No one is quite sure what that means. It might mean it's on content that is getting watched a lot because they want ads to be in front of the most people possible. That's how they make their money. Why would they put it on things that people aren't watching? So I guess as a Star Wars fan, I shouldn't be concerned at all about having to watch ads because no one's watching Star Wars. Even when we just go to look at the numbers of how many people are watching on Disney Plus at all, we can see here that the market share that Disney has of 2024 streaming platforms in the US is so tiny. Disney Plus is 4.4% of the market share. Netflix is dominating at 63.5%. And if you want to see, I have a video on my channel, I'll link it down below, that goes into this streaming war between Disney and Netflix and how it's over. Disney has completely lost, and I think Disney Plus is actually hurting Star Wars. You'll have to go check that out. But when we're looking at this, we can see that Netflix is dominating the streaming space. What does that actually mean, though? What does that mean? Because when we're talking about how many minutes are being watched, audiences are spending over 12 trillion minutes streaming in 2024, which equates to about 8.4 billion days or 23 million years worth. Like, that is insane to think about how many minutes are being watched on these streaming platforms, but not really on Disney Plus, not really on that compared to the other streaming platforms, particularly like Netflix. So what are some of the most popular titles that have been watched? Well, things like Moana have pulled in 9 billion minutes, Oppenheimer 6 billion, Trolls on Netflix has pulled in 6 billion minutes, Mario Brothers movie in 2023 pulled in 5 billion. When we're looking at things like Minions and Equalizer, all on Netflix, Disney Plus, Cars has been watched 4 billion. Inside Out 2, which came out just in 2024, was watched 4 billion minutes. That's an interesting one because we're going to talk about, there were some people bragging about how many minutes The Acolyte had been watched, that it was the second most watched thing on the Disney Plus platform in 2024. But if you remember, look at this pie chart. Again, that means nothing. We're talking about a pie slice out of a pie slice that is nearly nothing in the US streaming market. But it's even more deceptive than that, because take a look at the most streamed things in 2024. When we're here, and these are in billions of minutes watched in just 2024, look at Bluey, Grey's Anatomy, Bob's Burgers, NCIS. These are the things that topped the global charts in terms of streaming. And the main one to take an eye on here is Bluey. Bluey was streamed a total of almost 55 billion minutes in 2024. 55 billion minutes in 2024. You see this little sliver down here? That's The Acolyte. The Acolyte pulled in 2 billion minutes in 2024. But wait a minute, I thought they were the second most watched thing on Disney Plus. Yet Bluey is on Disney Plus, and Bluey was the most watched thing in the world. That's crazy that Bluey is the most watched thing. But here, so it gets even more interesting. Let's take a look at original streaming shows. Wait, so The Acolyte was the second most watched thing on Disney Plus, right? Which is false. If you're talking about original shows created by Disney, like, you have to give all those caveats. Because look, here it is. The original streaming shows. Fallout won Best New Show, even though it wasn't the most streamed. But when you're looking at our top originals, right now, Bridgerton is over 20 billion minutes watched. Love is Blind over 15 billion. The Boys over 10. Lawyer over 10. Fallout over 10 billion minutes. And again, Acolyte barely brought in 3 billion, just under that. What about when we compare it, right? Well, when we compare it to other Star Wars shows, and this is part of the problem, like, Disney may not be lying about its minutes watched of The Acolyte, but definitely when things are portrayed to say the second most watched thing, and that's being reported as if it's a good thing. But here, compared to other Star Wars shows, just compared to Star Wars shows, now we're getting the pie slice even smaller. Mando 2 at over 8. You had Mando 3 almost at 8, clear head and shoulders above everything else. Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, Andor all cracking 4. Ahsoka just barely cracking 4. And then again, Acolyte, the least watched Star Wars show. So if we're saying things like, hey, it's the most watched thing on Disney Plus in 2024, that means nothing. This is like saying I got 17 walks in my church softball league slow pitch, right? It means nothing. It actually is quite embarrassing to give that statistic in regards to a show that is not watched nearly as much as the other popular shows that came out in 2024. This doesn't touch the other shows that were loved and streamed by fans. And in fact, to even bring this statistic forward, it feels like a manufactured, curated statistic just to try and make the show look like it was viewed and watched by more people than it actually was. And there's even content creators that are taking this talking point as if it's like a thing because Acolyte got viewed. Don't believe me? Take a look at this.
Acolyte was the second most viewed show on Disney Plus. And the thing that we're going to argue today, or at least contend, is a lot of people watch this show. And this is what this is an argument we get into a lot with people who need this show to be a failure. The worst show in Star Wars decision history because they hated it. Now, obviously, this show has a dedicated contingent of fan out there. Hashtag renew the Acolyte with their New York Times Square billboards. When people talk about why it was canceled, we can talk about a lot of different things as to whether it was fiscally, reasonable or did the budget balloon. Those are all very, very valid concepts to kind of broach. But for all intents and purposes, it was not the viewership.
Stop acting like no one watched it. It's wrong and weird.
And so to say that a lot of people watched Acolyte is completely misleading. This is why it is not coming back as a second season. Even take a look at this. Take a look at the finale numbers. The finale numbers for Star Wars shows. This is in millions of viewers. 30 million estimated to have watched the finale of Mando Season 2. Almost 26 million watched Mando Season 3. Well, Kenobi pulled in a little over 15. Boba Fett pulling up to 15 million people watching that finale. And Andor here in 14 million, right? Acolyte is nowhere even listed. I can't even find the numbers of how many people actually tuned in for the finale, but we know that it dropped considerably each and every single time. So what is it? What does this all mean? Well, here's what it boils down to. It's absolutely ridiculous how Disney is so cloak and dagger, hiding all of these things, unwilling to actually talk about the success or the failure of things that are going on because they know that they have nothing to talk about. They literally have no good points of anything because Disney Plus is failing as a streaming service. It has no idea what it's doing. It's lying to its customers. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are leaving the platform, and the things that they keep making as original content are completely bombing. The only things being watched on the platform are Disney movies and things like Bluey. The rest of it, the MCU, Star Wars, all of it is a complete failure. And it just goes to show you how poorly Disney has managed these IPs that they've acquired. No one wants to watch the MCU. No one wants to watch Star Wars because all they do is lie to us, hide everything. They won't even give us good marketing about the shows that we're interested in, like season 2 of Andor. We're 70 days out and we have nothing, no marketing. They're not even trying. It's as if they already know. They're like, no one's going to watch it. So who cares? Why do we even put any money into marketing when we can't win? And this is my point. This is what I'm coming back to. And you can click right here to see the full video of this. But the Disney Plus platform is dead. It's dying. It's gone. I think we will see the end of it completely in the next few years. And if you don't believe me, click on this video right here and check that out. Because Disney, I think, is lying to us and hiding all of this stuff instead of just being transparent and open about what's really going on. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you over here. No, over here. Nope. Yeah.